My name is Ellinor Samuelsson, and together with me, I have
Sofie Wahlström.
and we're going to share with you today how we are award-winning hackathon ninjas. I ran before, but he found me and our son after 3 days. Isn't a protected resident supposed to be protected? I don't dare to try to run again, and we're back at X. He wants us to marry. I don't want to sleep with him after all he's done, but I have to. I know what happens otherwise. He has a knife in his nightstand. If I hadn't left him, me and the kids would be dead. But it's just a matter of time before he finds us, and I have to let the kids meet his dad.
Yeah, let this sink in. This is the quotes from victims of domestic violence. This is what they have to suffer through and what we try to help them with. And we do this by building tech. Because we have been working on this issue for a long time and there has been no solution. So we try to solve this. And the idea to this came from me working with these victims. One woman really stuck with me. She had been beaten really hard. She couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, she was scolded, and she was so destroyed. But I could still see like hope in her eyes, but she couldn't communicate. She couldn't use her body, she couldn't speak at all. And I started to think, what can we do about this? Why does this even happen? And how can we stop it? So I took my tech skills and started working within the public sector because I thought, well, here we can make a change. So this is from this standpoint that we took a toll and realized we need to do something. And this is the story.
And looking at the statistics, 1 in 3 women globally will be subjected to domestic violence by an intimate partner or a family member within her lifetime. And it can be anything from sexual or physical abuse. And this is not even counting psychological abuse, like economic, material, all the other forms of like violence that might be able to exist. We also know that roughly 1 in 6 men can be subjected to violence. In Sweden, it's 1 in 4 women, so slightly less than the global average. Leaving an like abusive relationship is the most dangerous thing to a woman's life that you can do today. 48% of murder happen when you try to leave, and it's actually 75% that gets killed during this time. So we're really trying to look at how can we use technology and use like data to try to predict when is safer times like for people to leave and try to match those people with the right kind of support within society, because there's a lot of like support that society provides. We also know today that within Sweden, 1 in 10 children grow up in homes where there might be violence. And this can also have pretty big like repercussions later on, where you can develop like chronic PTSD or anxiety, like depression. So this is the types of things that we're trying to solve. Within the EU, this issue costs 109 billion euros, and there's roughly 28 million women who suffer from this, which is 3 Swedens. It's like so much people. It's really, really common. And yeah, how many people do you know? Like just looking at this room, like, yeah, or this conference.
Yeah, and as I said, my name is Sofie Wahlström, and I come from a background of IT education. So I started doing that, and I went from that to going into the public sector to try to solve problems. But the thing, when I was there, I realized I can't solve them by myself.
So she found me at a hackathon. It was the Swedish government actually that did a hack the crisis COVID hackathon. And I came in as a background as a UX designer. I've worked within tech for the past 9 years. I've worked quite a lot with preventative mental health, how to work with vulnerable groups, worked with like dyslexia apps to helping prevent chronic diseases, building massage robots, and all kinds of things. Um, and yeah, like Sophie and I, we work pretty well together because we both like to work in a similar way, like intensive sprints, taking it easy. We always say that we have our best ideas around like 11 at night.
Yeah, golden hour for us. Yeah, so this issue that I've been talking about, this is because support is fragmented. It's hard to find, it's hard to navigate. You don't know where to turn. Like nobody is an expert on being abused until they are. So this is what happens. They come to a civic society organization, they talk to someone, they come to the public sector, they talk to someone, they talk to the police, they talk to authorities, and so on. And an average contact pattern for a domestic violence victims is around 20 to 60 contacts. And you understand that's just the contacts they make, not the number of contacts they have with this person. So trying to do this while you are in trauma, while you are scared, while you try to escape, and while you try to understand how you can support yourself economically, you understand this is a big, big issue. So the idea I came in with was how can we gather all support in one place, easy to find, and we can guide you to make it easier. This is like the beginning, like the embryo of what we are today. We started in hackathons. This is why we named this session Hackathon Ninjas. And as Ellinor said, we met in Hack the Crisis. It's like a bit more than 2 years ago now. And I went in with this solution. And I thought, I need to find a team that knows this stuff and knows how to code. I know some code, but it looks like war when I try to do it. So it's better to have somebody who's really, really good at it. So the thing I did was try to find really experts, especially on security, because these people need security. The data needs to be safe. So, and I also really need a good designer because I'm really picky with design. And I found Ellinor and I chased her like crazy because she has like, you can tell the story. How many teams did you have?
Yeah, I just went into Slack and posted, "Hi, I'm a senior like UX designer." Got like boom, like 20 teams, like please, please, please come. And but Sophie was actually the only one that called me. Like everyone else was just like chatting with me, and I was like, okay, that's quite interesting. And the whole purpose of this was to save lives. And I thought that you had an interesting angle on working with the shadow pandemic, working with like domestic violence to use technology to do that. There were so many people that wanted to do this like COVID tracking app, and I was like, no, not really my thing. But that's where we met.
Yeah.
And we really started to think about how can we make this like inclusive for all, because so much within the domestic violence field is men's violence towards women. It's this target group, this, and we were thinking more, okay, but how can we make this funnel to just welcome everyone in? And then if you feel like you need support, we will help you. If you're like abusing someone, maybe you don't even know about it, we will guide you right. If you are being victimized, we will guide you right. If you're a child, we will help you. And from a UX perspective, this is very challenging. We have, dozens of stakeholder groups. We're doing like individual journeys for everyone, and really looking at how can we be like representative from all like perspectives. So we try to be mindful of speaking in a language that like resonates with people. We're actually designing the whole application on the brain on stress. and using very simple cues, not too many words, very simple words, a lot of images, and also making the images very like inclusive with all form, shapes, colors, rainbows even.
Yeah, and this is actually what finances us. We win hackathons to finance our modules. And this is a quite new way to enter hackathons, we realized. And we realized this by being in a hackathon, and somebody came up from the side that has done something before the hackathon, and they won. And we were like, wait, can we do this? And we realized, yes, we can. Because we just are very clear with what our product is. And when we go into the hackathon, we have a clear vision, and we try to do everything fast and small. So, and as Ellinor said, it's like sprinting is our thing. It's really fun. It's really intensive, but then you get to rest. It's okay. But then we realized it was many teams that were trying to make similar stuff. Not really, like not exactly the same, but quite similar. So what do?
We called them up and we started talking to them. We tell them what we're doing, and then we swallow them. We're like, oh, you can join us. Come over to the orange side. And many people want to. Because now that we've been in a few hackathons, we're like building on like Lego piece by Lego piece to our actual like solution. And quite a lot of people who join hackathons also want to join for just doing something good and creating impact. But it was funny because the first module that we built, it was actually this like evidence storing like module, pretty high tech and pretty high security, and yeah, it's something that you don't want to be hacked. So we're like hoarding this one right now until we're ready to release it.
Yeah, so it's coming, but we've got to be bigger than we are and being a bigger brand than we are to make sure that it will stay safe forever.
And it was actually so that we had no intention of starting a like company with this. So we tried to give away what we built to help organizations or like to the public sector. We found that the public sector couldn't take it because they can't by law. They're not allowed to operate like in the way that a company can do. So we were like, oh, okay, well, that's maybe explains why we haven't done this not too rocket science like solution before. And then we asked some help organizations, and we got the response that they were building their own things, so they didn't need it. We were like, okay, then we'll build it then.
Yeah, and by this point, it was worth a lot at the point as well. It was worth a couple of millions in time at that moment. And we were like, oh, really? Okay. And then we started like, what should we do? And then we realized we need to start a company. Yeah, this is an awesome story. Hold on tight. Actually, in one of the hackathons, we were told by the judges and so on to Twitter. So what did we do?
This was during like EU versus virus with the EU Innovation Council, and they told us you'll get a benefit if you tweet a lot. Like you will get this like advantage. We'll match you with more partners, and we were like, okay, challenge accepted. We started up a Twitter account. We went on. We tweeted like 20 tweets a day. Cross-tweeted people. Found politicians. We even got a like response from Finland's like equality minister who liked what we did, and we were like, oh, amazing! Now maybe we can scale to Finland. And we did this very like intensely for 5 days. But then the matchathon ended, and we had a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah,
so we were like,
plenty.
okay, we don't have time for Twitter anymore. We stopped, and then after 2 weeks, you get a call.
Yeah, and from a friend saying, I have some expert here wondering if your profile is real. Maybe you should write to him. Check your messages. I was like, okay, I will. I went in and I realized FBI kind of targeted us as a potential hacker for the Elon Musk and the Bitcoin affair. Do you
And this
remember
was
it?
the time when like so many big profiles were like tweeting out, add this sum of money to this like Bitcoin account and we'll double it and we'll match it. And there was everything from like Bill Gates to like Obama to yeah, like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we went on a ping on their servers because we went like nothing, 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 a lot, and then nothing. So they saw our activity and were like, wait a minute. So they thought we were Russian hacker bots. So
and we were happy because we
yeah.
were being matched with Sweden's top security persons.
Yeah,
We were like,
awesome.
perfect.
Like, hello, have you heard of us? Can we talk to you? Awesome, good contact. So I jokingly call Ellinor my Russian hacker bot.
And yeah, so we went from this like idea. Sofie and I, we had been working online, and I was living in Copenhagen at the time. You were living here, and we met up in Copenhagen, which was quite funny because I mean, if you look, like I'm quite tall and she's quite short, but this is nothing you see when you're on the screen. So that was our first shock. We were like, oh, okay.
I was like, wow, you're tall. And we booked a photographer because we didn't know this. So when the photographer came, we were like, how should we solve this? So in all our first press photos, I'm on like stairs, I'm on stones, I'm on everything, like or Ellinor is like bending down like this. So it's like really funny because if you look at the pictures, you really see it. Because you can't take like a profile pic like this because like it's going to be huge, like empty space up here.
But then, like right before we met, we actually started the company without meeting, like in person.
Yeah.
But I think it was also because Sofie was just one of my like voices, like constantly talking on the side of my shoulder because we were speaking so much.
Yeah.
And then we got together, we wrote down our values, and we found that we actually had a very similar vision of what we wanted to do. We want this to be very long term. It's like a lifetime long company. It's not something we want to exit in like 3 to 5 years. Like we see this growing really big and making this a global like safety net. So we started with that premise.
Yeah, and then we hit issues. Because when we did this, we realized, okay, we need a bank account to kind of make sales. And I had a company previously, but nothing like this. So I was like, okay, let's go and do this correctly. So we contacted a very big Swedish bank to create accounts. And so we thought we did, but nothing happened. And nothing happened. And nothing happened. And I was like, what? Where is our accounts? Where is our money? Because we transferred quite a lot of money into these accounts. So I was like, I can't log in. Where is it? Where is our hackathon money? So I called up the bank and they were like, oh, weird. I was like, what? What did you do? So it happened to be that they accidentally, because they do this like manually, so they put in the wrong account number. So a company in Sweden just received like 400,000 Swedish crowns into their account. That was ours when we started our account. So then they had to transfer it back and everything. And this took like 2 months to fix. So during the, imagine being a company that was actually really like in need of this money. This would have been horrible. But we were lucky because we had like volunteers working at the time, so we survived. But it was rough. You want to take this?
We've also decided to actually not take on like investments right now because we want to direct this company like in the way that we want to do it. We're building something that is a bit unconventional, and we're also finding that quite a lot of people want to support us anyway. So we don't think we need it, and we have a lot of customers lined up. We have interest from 16 different countries. And we've decided to be a profit limited company, so that everything we do, we want to reinvest back into building more technology, new things, going into other areas and fields, and really going into the parts of the world that might not have a functioning public system. Um, so, yeah.
Yeah. And this is kind of our how-to to connect with experts, because we're really, really good at this. What we do is actually just reach out, tell them what we do, how we want to do it, and how they can help. And we give them just like a minimum scheduled meeting, a short one, to get to know us, because we're lovely. And then they want to work with us. So we take them on to advisory boards, security advisory boards. We have like a lot of high-level people on our advisory boards, which is awesome because they know everything. And we talk to professors, and we don't focus just on Sweden. We find the best people in the world. One of our first advisors that helped us create a business plan was a guy that worked for the World Bank. So you can imagine, he knew his stuff. So this is what we're built on, like all the expert advice. And I say this, like in the room or if watching online, if you are an expert, please contact us because we need you. Maybe for just 15 minutes, but you can help to save lives.
Oh yeah. And during this time when we started up the company, Sofie gets pregnant. And we had the sprint booked together with a like company that wanted to work with us with like CSR. And it was something that they did once every 3 months, and of course it coincided exactly on the Labor Day date. But we were like, okay, YOLO, let's just do it. We'll figure it out. And we had 6 different teams like working with us. It was everything from like marketing to development, back and front end. It was data science. It was business. It was social media branding. Over 2 weeks time, and they didn't even realize that Sofie was was within labor, and I was just sitting there like, like for 2 weeks straight,
Yeah.
12 hours a day, but then we had some questions that we didn't really know like how how to solve, that was related to the security of the data. So I was actually messaging Sofie while she was in labor.
Yeah, so this is why this one is here, because I actually had the personnel from the hospital like, are you really going to do this? I'm like, yes, I have to do this. It's like, give me a second, I just need to answer because I need this data. So I was writing Ellinor when in labor at the hospital, and my spouse were like, oh my God, you're crazy. I was like, yeah, this is what you do. Like this is who you're going to have a child with. Good luck. And while doing this, it was kind of good actually, because I didn't have to think about the pain so much because I thought about GDPR. So this is actually what we help the public sector with, because what they're kind of bad at is sharing data. And this is many times because they are trapped in like within companies that have their data and they have to pay to get it out. So when they need it, they need to pay a lot of money. And they're not really good at like sharing data and creating this like vision of a data lake. It's not their thing. So this is what we try to do. We try to create a data lake of domestic violence data around the world. So instead of thinking like this country or this region or this municipality, we think about world, because it's the world that needs our help. It's not just an area. But then when we did this, we realized it was some issues with like there are no pattern to maps. It's different in every region of the world. Maps isn't one thing. It's just different how it's made. So we realized, okay, we need a mapping system to do this. So this is one thing we started building. to understand where the data comes from. But with this data, we create insights on the needs of the public. So when you use our sites, when you click on stuff, even though we don't know who you are, we know what you need. So we know you enter, for example, I am a woman. I might be trans, or I might be a man, whatever. And then you enter what you need, where you need it. This is how we know where you need the support. So it's not located where you are or where you live, it's where you are. So if you go to Spain, for example, Ellinor lives in Barcelona, you will just type in Barcelona and you will get pulled to the right kind of organizations where you are. And this is a tricky one. This is really hard because they think they are innovating because they are talking to each other. I also work as an innovation manager within the public sector at the same time as we do this. So I know it's really tricky to get people to collaborate. And I realized Ellinor really needs this insight as well. Because when you come from outside, you think, oh, it's just a matter of doing this and this and this, and we solve it. And I was like, no, it doesn't work that way. So I actually...
She lured me in.
Yeah.
So now I'm also working with the Swedish public sector, building this like innovation tool for like managers. So I get to go speak to everyone and see what their problems are, which is really good for this.
Yeah. But it's really tricky. It's sometimes we have people in the same room working within the same field that are like national or global experts in the same very, very narrow field, and they have never talked together, like talked to each other at all. And we were like, oh. So we try to put people in the same room to actually get the discussion going and ask them, how can we solve your problem? So this is one thing that we do with our pilots. We workshop with them to find the real problems, to solve them in a digital way.
This is a bit funny. We were being invited to speak for a big global organization that works with peacekeeping across the world. And we welcome up on stage, and the moderator for this organization said, okay, here we have two beautiful women coming up to talk about their like technology. Yeah, that was my face too. I was like, beautiful. Excuse me. Like driven, intelligent maybe. And then he goes, yeah, that's right. Bitches. And we were just like
We were like, straight face. We were like, don't laugh.
And mind you,
don't mock him.
we were in a room with like this like big fancy table with like, I don't know, 15 seats around. They're sitting like very proper people with their suits and their, you know, science backgrounds and politics backgrounds. And
yeah,
I think a few people died in that room.
Yeah, you could just see like jaw drops because it was a lot of women in the room and they were like, what did he say? But we handle it as we usually do. We joked about it because, yeah, it's no point of creating drama in that room at that point. But yeah, it was like eye-opening. It was like he kind of panicked because he realized he shouldn't have mentioned our appearances and then tried to, yeah, hide it with this.
And then he digged the hole deeper.
Yeah. It's like, do you want a shovel? Yeah, and today we are actually, you're kind of in for this without, it's like a little bit of a secret. So we're releasing our beta version of onboarding organizations right now. We have been testing this around the world and with organizations, but right now we are opening it up to get people in and try it and to see what breaks, because it will. We all know this that works in tech. It's like, it's a matter of time. So this is like this point in time where 2 years of working, trying to figure out the needs and understanding everything, like this is the moment where it actually happens for real. So follow us everywhere because a lot of stuff is going to happen in this next couple of weeks. And the next thing we're talking on is age 22 in Helsingborg, where we're going to like have a panel discussion about this as well. So a lot of stuff is going to happen next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so what we're gonna launch is this like profile pages. After that, we're gonna every month pretty much push out one of these modules that we've been building right now. And it's everything from creating a safe and secure chat, because this doesn't like exist today because we're working with very sensitive data. We're also going to find ways for organizations to collaborate with each other where they can set up projects and work together. We are launching simultaneously a tool to help people within trafficking who are moving between borders, because that's the strength of our like solution, that we're not bound by any specific region. This will also correspond to migration of people. It could be from crisis areas such as the Ukraine or other areas right now around the world. And really, step by step, module by module, country by country, building a global safety net for different issues that you might have.
And you remember brains for gains. So we have many brains in here, as I said, and a lot online as well. So if you feel that I might have a contact for you, or I might have some information that you need, or have you thought about this, then contact us, because what we do is actually learn step by step all the time. So in our modules, we have like insights from users. So they can put in data like, I didn't find this, this needs to be here, I don't understand where this is, and give us ideas to how to make it better, because this platforms is for you guys. So this is why it need to be built together with everyone. So if you have input, please make sure that you give it to us, because we will change it if it's good input. Yep. And this is actually one of the core things with us, because everyone knows someone. Like we said, 1 in 3 women globally, 1 in 4 in Sweden, 1 in 6 men. How many people do you know? So someone in your network is subjected at this point, or at this moment in time. Around 7% globally are subjected at any given time. 7%. So you can imagine all the people that actually needs this information when it comes out. So what we do is that we spread dynamically. We get spread by people that actually understand that it might be someone that needs this to save their own lives. And we say that we create safe homes for children. So that's our plan for the future, to create safe homes, because you actually bring your trauma into your adulthood and relive it, especially when you get a child again. Like, you connect to your own child, inner child, when you get a child. So this is why it's very, very important to solve. And thank you, awesome listeners. And we have do have time for Q&A for a bit. How much is the time? Do you have 24? Awesome. Do we have any questions or ideas? Yes. It is a website at the moment to get people to go into it, because we realized we made apps in the beginning, and then we realized, okay, it's going to be really tricky to get people to download this and feel secure about it. So it's a website now. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to keep it safe by hiding it. So we can actually hide this app under anything. So if it's a website or another application, we can hide it within that. So it's not visible, and we have a secret, we call it the Narnia gate, to get in, because it's not visible from the outside. So if you have a good idea where to hide it in the future as well, come to us. Any more questions? We're gonna open it up, and it's you can go in now as well, but it's like, yeah, it's a beta version. So if you want like the proper one and see more, you contact us. And if you have somebody who wants to collaborate with us, you just let them know that we exist, or give us their details and we contact them. Because we don't only work with like the public sector, we work with companies as well, because the cost on companies to have people subjected to violence is so high, because you don't work, you get sick leave, you might change work, you might lose your competence from the workplace. It's a big problem, and many companies starting to realize this right now. And since it's always an abuser as well. So even if you don't have somebody subjected, you might have somebody abusing, and then you have to support them to break their cycle of abuse as well.
But we're very interested to have people come test, and either you can like book a user test like session with me, and you can share whatever you're thinking and feeling when using the product. Or if you're finding things that are like bugs or off, or like you should change this, then it's also possible to write us, and that we appreciate as well. Yeah, we're actually been like testing with survivors. So like people who have left an like abusive like relationship, who have insights of what it's like to like be within one, but they've also moved on with their lives, and they're in a point now where they feel more stable, they feel secure, they feel loved, they feel like important. So we've been speaking to quite a lot of like survivors. And then with organizations and like the public sector, that's more a normal like user test, where usually what we do is that we like show them the product, we have a like hypothesis of something that we want to test, we look at what are they doing, are they doing what we thought they would be doing, do they get confused by anything, and then we just have them, you know, speak openly, in a very, yeah, honest, transparent way. And we try to be mindful before, and like tell them like, you won't hurt our feelings, you can say anything you want, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we get really good feedback, so yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and a lot of people are contacting us like after these kinds of session, or after finding us on social media and saying, how can I help? Because many of the previous victims want to create an impact for others, so they don't have to suffer through this. So this is also a really big part of our network right now, with people that have left the relationships and want to help others. Any more questions? Yes. Yeah, we're going to be starting in Sweden right now. So Sweden is like the main target area right now, but we're opening up for the rest of the world as well. At least for the organizations supporting people, but we might not be there actually working within the public sector at the same point. So we're releasing it in Sweden with the public sector. We have a lot of askings to come to Spain, for example. They want us to come there. So we're trying to keep it in Europe, because as soon as we like hire people and start to work with the public sector in these countries, we have to think of stuff that we didn't think of before, like taxes, this kind of stuff. So we have to be really mindful to not spread too thin, but we still welcome organizations to register to give support, even though we're not like active in that country.
There's also quite a lot of people who want to be our like ambassadors. So there's someone in Mexico City now who wants to help us gather organizations there. Someone in South Africa. There are some help organizations that would want to help create laws within Bulgaria and also within Iraq, and they want to use BrightAct like to do that, to look at the patterns, to have some kind of evidence of like data to showcase that, well, there is actually a problem of like domestic violence here, and there should be laws for this. We have organizations within Switzerland that wants to start using it. India, we've been talking to. It's, I don't know, Sudan contacted us. Like it spreads very quickly, and we don't really understand how all these people find us. But yeah, I think that just shows how important it is everywhere.
Yeah. Any more questions?
On our website, so brightact.org, it is a place. We're also on Instagram. Sometimes we get messages there. We're on LinkedIn. We have a Facebook.
Yeah, we get connections from everywhere, and many of the times it's tips from other people. So this is why I say you guys are important, because we see how it spreads, because we see, this person talked to this person that talked about this, that have been in this project or talking to us through an organization. So it's like it's many steps before it finds the right person, but on like this is how we spread as well, because it's mouth to mouth. And people that are in need of help usually tell others that they are in need of help. And many of the times you don't know what to say. So we're going to make it easier by saying go to BrightAct. Any more questions? What's the time? 3 minutes left. Okay, 2 more questions. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and if you need us, we will be here. And if you have some thoughts after this session, you can come up and talk to us as well. We get many people coming up and talking to us. So if you want to lift something or have an insight that you don't want to take in front of everyone else, you can come to us afterwards or contact us on social media if that feels more safe. But thank you again, and awesome. And thank you for being here. And thank you for being in tech. The world needs you. Awesome. Thank you.